Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 52 of Cutscene Convos.
Welcome back.
This week we've got a character profile on Barry Allen. We've also got to cover Bad Batch episode 5, as well as the return of Vox Machina with season 2. There is a new Shazam Fury of the Gods trailer, and then we roll straight into the Nerd News Network, where we will be discussing Oscar nominations, what to expect from potential Superbowl ads, as well as some huge business done by Prime Video with Critical Role. Before we wrap it all up with Ra's al Ghul versus Cheetah in our superhero showdown. But before we get into all of that, Hori, how's your week been?
My week's been pretty good. Busy with work, wrapping up a bunch of projects, lots of different things for KCP and stuff. Also this week we had obviously the decal launched a few months back, but the goal explosions and player banners, whatever, launched. Which the player banner I designed, the goal explosions were all done by Psionics themselves. But yeah, they launched the other day, so that's cool because you can get full KCP kit.
If I played Rocket League, I would go full KCP. But as someone who has no thumbs, Rocket League is not for
me. I have them purely because it's something I made in a game.
Yeah,
They have yet to be used in an actual Rocket League game. But yeah, other than that, just work stuff and gaming. I've got back into the Destiny 2 grind.
Oh, is it Destiny 2? We were talking about it last night while I was streaming. Me and Josh was like, Hori's just ditched us since he got a new girlfriend. I was like, I don't even think it's the girlfriend. I think he's playing Rust again.
Well, so it started off with Rust.
Destiny 2.
We did Rust for like a wipe, me and my mate Joe, and then it was kind of like we got like halfway through the wipe and we were already like done, and we were like, we're kind of bored. And then we were like, oh, Destiny 2. Let's play Destiny 2 again. So yeah, that's kind of taken me over. I haven't touched Valorant yet.
Bad horizontal.
But the problem is, it's like, I know as soon as I touch Valorant, it will get its claws in again, and I'll just be a Valorant gamer again.
Yeah, Valorant gaming's fun. The super sweats have started to escape the low elo hell now.
Oh, okay.
So
then
like when we played the other night, we like won 2 games in a row. We would have won the third if we didn't have teammates who just stopped playing the game halfway through.
Fair enough. But yeah, that's been my week. How's your week been?
It's been good. Since the new year started, it has become apparent to the powers that be that there was too many eggs in my basket when it came to what I was required to do with work. There's just lots of things going on that are all very different as well. And because of the nature of them, it was difficult to get them done simultaneously, especially with how busy all of them different lanes were. Which means because of that and the realization of that, I've now for the last couple of weeks been able to focus on what they need me to focus on. They've decided is the main priority, which has made my days a lot less stressful.
Well, that's good.
And feeling a lot more productive because I'm just kind of going, I got loads done today instead of I got loads done today, but there's still loads to be done. So it's good. Also booked a holiday yesterday, which I'm very excited for. It will be my first holiday
since
2018.
Jeez, I was trying to see you messaging me saying you booked a holiday. I was like, when was the last time I had a holiday? And honestly, it was when I think the last proper holiday I had was when just before I started uni, when I was 21, which was 6 years ago, nearly 7 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I've been to Ireland, but I have family over there. So while it is a nice getaway, I don't tend to consider that a holiday, unless I'm going over there for purely leisure reasons and not flying in and out for a weekend for like a family event.
I know what you mean.
So yeah, it's been a hot minute. And it is a fully lazy holiday. We've gone all inclusive. We're flying to Lanzarote. We're drinking drinks, we're laying by the swimming pool, and we're doing nothing for an entire week, and I cannot wait.
Sounds perfect.
And we planned very carefully because I was like, okay, I know over summer there's a fuck ton of stuff coming out. So then, bless Jenna, she's worked so hard to find us the right holiday and everything. I was like, okay, I need you to look at like dates though and think about the dates you're looking at. She's like, yeah, we'll do. So she's gone through and she's found like that week where there are no films coming out and like there shouldn't be that many shows kicking about, so that I can fully just vegetate and we're not going to miss out on anything huge. So it'll be really good.
And unfortunately, viewers, I did try to persuade Connor to do a poolside episode, but
maybe I'll do a little short by the swimming pool or something. Just get some Spider-Man swimming trunks or something.
I was going to say review water-based comic book here while you're just in the pool.
Never know. I might grab a comic to take with me and sit by the lounger and read. But yeah, so this week's actually been quite a good week. Just know what it's like, especially in the new year in project-based lines of work, it all kind of ramps up a little bit because of all that stuff that people didn't want to do at the end of the last year.
I know what you mean.
But anyway, let's get into it. So I decided it was about time that I do a character profile on the Flash. I've long said he's one of my favorite characters.
You have.
And I think because of that, as well as how well known the Flash is because of the show, I was like, do people really want a character profile on such a well known character? But at the same time, we try and be inclusive here. Maybe you guys don't know that much about the Flash. So let's run it back. Bartholomew Henry, or Barry Allen, is the Flash. He's the fastest man alive, and he's the second person to hold the title of the Flash mantle. The first, of course, being Jay Garrick. Barry made his first appearance in Showcase number 4 in October 1956.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. The Flash did go on to become a founding member of the Justice League of America. He was born to Nora and Henry Allen. As a child, he loved reading about the adventures of his favorite hero, the Flash, which of course is Jay Garrick's The Flash. Unfortunately, his perfect family life was cut rather short when, as a child, his mother was murdered, and his father was convicted for it. This led Barry to become, well, Barry then got a desire and an obsession with proving his father's innocence. This led to him studying criminology and organic chemistry at university. And when he graduated, he was then recruited by the Central City Police Department. A job which he took because Central City is the sister city of Keystone City, which his favorite hero was from. One night during an experiment, his lab was struck by lightning, which caused a big mess in his lab, causing him to be doused in chemicals that had been energized by the lightning, as well as himself being shocked. This then gave him super speed. And because of his super speed, he decided to take on the name of his childhood idol, the Flash. Barry's a really interesting character, and DC continuity is actually at times a little bit difficult, especially with your older characters, because of the reset in 2011 with the new 52. So it can be a bit confusing. The main thing to remember is Barry Allen was the second Flash. You had I want to say it's Golden Age was Jay Garrick with the Justice Society of America.
Right.
Then the comic came out earlier, but then they went back to visit him a number of years later and make him a returning character. When he would go on to found the Justice League. And it's interesting because although he's seen as a really well-known character, he actually wasn't used for a number of years, like I want to say 90s into or late 80s into the early 2000s.
Interesting.
Because during one of the events, he had to reset everything, essentially. And he ran so fast to reset everything that he died, turning to lightning, and became the lightning bolt that gave him his powers.
Right.
And like Barry Allen, in a lot of ways, is a huge paradox. But when he did die, Wally West then became the Flash.
Right, okay.
So for a lot of people who watch like cartoons and that growing up, it's probably Wally who was the Flash they were watching.
Yeah, true.
So it's quite interesting, especially with the Flash in his iconic red. A couple of different people have worn that, so sometimes it can get a bit
Yeah,
distorted.
overlap.
Who's who?
Mm.
Um, he has made a couple of appearances after his death, where he came back for big events. And then eventually he got fully rebooted with the new 52.
Right.
And that's where we are. As far as I can tell, his origin story and everything about him hasn't really changed in the new 52. That
Okay.
stuff is pretty set. They're just kind of taking they've kind of almost gone back to where the continuity was still tidy.
Yeah.
Gone, okay, that will still work, so we can just copy and paste that. And then
Mhm.
from this point onwards, we can maybe change a few things if we want.
Yeah, give
Um,
him a bit of a
and I
new
think
branch.
yeah, and I think among comic book fans, the Flash's Rogues Gallery is
Pretty
kind of
good.
seen as disrespected as not being like that well known in the mainstream. Everyone knows Spider-Man's and Batman's
Well, yeah.
villains. But like the Flash has got some brilliant villains in like Gorilla Grodd and the Rogues and such like. Um and that's a big reason why I'm so desperate for this Flash film to not be completely terrible, so that James Gunn does go, okay, the Flash is a character that we can have a lot of fun with here. Um
Yeah, I mean,
really fun
hopefully.
Really fun thing I didn't know until I did the character profile though. The
Oh,
Flash ring that he used to store his suit,
yeah, the one that you wanted.
hmm actually made its appearance in that first comic in 1956 as well.
Oh,
It's been there since day one,
nice.
which I think is really cool. It's not often something as iconic as that gets to survive this many
Yeah,
iterations of a character.
true. That is true.
Right then, now that we're done with the character profile, let's get into Bad Batch
Yes.
episode 5. As if there's been 5 episodes already.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Like, I swear, the only reason I know how quick the weeks go is because of like whatever show we're watching. I'm like, how are we on episode 5 already? Wasn't the episode we were predicting it might be.
No, it wasn't.
Um,
So maybe we get that later because like the Clone Wars didn't stick to timeline a lot of the
no,
times.
it
It
didn't.
jumped about a bit.
That's true. Potentially, it might be maybe whatever was going on that we didn't get to see is like used as a flashback moment. Or something.
Yeah, it might be important enough that they're saving it for a different day.
Exactly. Yeah, episode 5, I think was called The Tomb or something. I forget
Yes.
the exact name of it. But gang's all back together with the addition of our elusive
Pirate
new
friend.
pirate friend that we got introduced to in episode 1 briefly.
Yes.
Was it episode 1 or 2? One, I think it was episode 2, maybe.
It
I
was
can't
one or
remember.
the other.
But yeah, Fee, the pirate bounty hunter woman.
Yeah.
Um,
She
on
seems
the
to be a bit of a
end,
storyteller, doesn't she?
do you know what? It gave me kind of, in a way, young Han Solo vibes.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. That's crazy. Yeah, I completely agree.
A
And
bit
do you know
of
what? I don't.
bullshitting and overtelling of stories.
Yeah, but it's different because she's doing it because she wants to seem exciting at bars, whereas Hannah only ever really did it to try and get
Get,
work.
yeah, or get himself out of trouble. Yeah,
Yeah, so
it's
it was, but I did think I was like, this kind of like big act and the makes you
yeah,
wonder.
it's like that. Definitely trying to oversell some of her stories or like
Yeah,
purposefully tweaking details each time and stuff.
yeah,
But yeah, they end up on a treasure hunt because they find some compass.
yeah. So Omega and Wrecker were sent
Oh yeah,
out to find a part that was needed
I imagine for
from
their
the
own
drunk
ship.
scrap. Yeah, and because they are Omega and Wrecker, they act like children, and they found a bunch of other useless crap.
Well, yeah, there was like, oh, this looks cool. Exactly what I would probably do in a job. I'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
this looks
Oh,
like something useful.
shiny.
Oh, this is an interesting looking item. I'm sure that's got a good use for it. Never seen one of these before. Chuck in a thing, it's like, oh no, this is just useless junk. Some of which
Yeah,
is broken and not even. But then there's a compass.
yeah.
So they go off looking for treasure.
Yeah, so
Uh,
Fee's like, oh yeah, come with me, we'll get the treasure. Hunter's not convinced. She's like, fine, I'll just take all the treasure for myself. At which point, essentially everyone goes, but Hunter.
well, it's like Omega kind of shows her kid side again. It's like, oh, treasure hunt, pirate treasure. Um, so then Hunter's like, oh, okay, fine.
um,
And it's
this
go on.
this episode was definitely a filler episode, but
Yeah.
it felt like less of a filler episode than last week
Do you
because
know
there
what?
was more progression of Omega as a character.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the last two episodes. The last week's was a filler episode, and then we kind of got like an indication of some more about Sid and
Yeah,
some past. This felt like a filler episode again, and also a way to kind of properly introduce Fee.
yeah,
And I feel like she's gonna play a part, obviously, throughout this season, maybe. Um, so yeah, I do think it was a filler again, but less in the set, like less filler feeling.
yes.
More just a
The adventure was a bit more compelling.
yeah, it was more so I think a character setup to properly introduce us to this Fee and get a feel for who she is.
Yeah.
Um,
We got to have some fun with them solving the puzzles and getting split up, bits of action. Hunter being
yeah,
wholly unimpressed by Fee.
yeah, um, yeah. It was basically like a little dungeon crawl, like
One thing I will say,
thing. Go on.
I was fully expecting the heart of a mountain to be a kyber crystal.
Mood. So when she was talking about, oh, these markings are older than Jedi, and then they started mentioning a powerful crystal that's worth loads of money, I was like, kyber crystal.
And then that's going to reignite the Empire chasing after them because they have a kyber crystal, which is obviously very
Well,
important that the Empire has all of.
it's also just that idea that they kyber crystals were a rare material that was like bounty hunters would find and sell them. So it's like I was the same. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like some kyber crystals or something, and they're gonna be like, holy shit, we've hit the jackpot.
Yeah, I think that would have been a better end to the story.
Yes, but I also think it could have caused some issues if they were just like, oh yeah, we're gonna just add into the Star Wars universe that there was just a bunch of kyber crystals went into the market system markets.
Oh no, because you can still have it that when they try and take it, the whole thing collapses down and they
True.
try and put it back, and then they all get lost.
Yeah, true.
But then it's a fun callback for people to go, "Wow, look at all them kyber crystals that went to waste! Holy shit!"
But yeah, they eventually find the crystal after getting split up and using the compass in different ways and then solving puzzles.
It had a bit of like a Indiana Jones vibe to it. I enjoyed
India,
it.
yeah, and then kind of a bit back to like that whole bullshit feed bullshit. It's like you could tell she had no fucking clue how to solve these puzzles, and it was
Yeah,
really
she's.
Omega. Omega solved every puzzle.
You get the impression that in a lot of these stories, she found guys like the Bad Batch who carried her through,
And then she gets to the
and
thing and dips.
all she did was get the intel of where to look. And she's like, "Oh well, without me, they wouldn't have found it anyway. So I'm clearly a big part of
Yeah,
this, and I'm gonna make the story more dramatic. When in reality, me being an idiot, put us in these positions."
yeah. So yeah, they find this big, fucking huge crystal, and it's like, oh yeah, let's pull it out. Of which it then activates some mech, which we've never seen a mech like that, and it's
No,
apparently predates Jedi.
yeah,
So I don't know. I had a quick Google after the show, but I don't think, and no one has any idea what it is, or like it's just some old fucking mech. Um, it was sick,
it
but
was. It was very very cool.
and then they had to like shove the crystal back in to shut it down, which is a
And
bit
the
of a
whole
weird.
mountain still kind of collapsed around it.
Yeah, like the crystal that melted and it all fucking blew up, and it's like, oh, we saved the ship just in time. Cool story, but then they don't get anything out of it. I will say though, uh, another droid lost.
Yes, I'm a little bit sad at all the droids that.
Though she was it called Mel this one or something?
Yeah, Mel.
R.I.P. Mel.
But she does show the importance of backing up important data.
Yeah, she's got it backed up, so she's just gonna make a new one.
Practice good data recovery, kids.
Yes. um, but yeah, like we said, definitely a filler episode. Like they didn't gain anything. It didn't. It was more. It definitely felt like it was just a setup for Fee.
Yeah.
Um,
I need next week to get into a more substantial story though.
I think it will. I'm trying to remember the scheduling, but I know that there's like another point, like midway through, we get a double episode drop. I don't think it's yet, but it's soon. So I feel like we're going to get an episode that leads up to that, then we get a double episode, important one, and then we're into the second half of the season.
Um,
But yeah,
it's tricky, because when you're doing like for network, like, and they want like 30 animated episodes, so you make 30 episodes. I get having fillers,
yeah,
but when Disney are like have a lot more control, and they're like, okay, they can go to the creative team and go, okay, how many episodes do you need to tell a story you want to tell? And they go 10, and they're like, can you stretch it out to 12? They go yes. I just don't understand how we end up with 2 filler episodes in a row.
I think it was the issue. I do think it's like they have tried to find ways to set up Fee and set up some story going on with Sid, but they didn't really know how to do that. The Fee one makes sense. I'm fine with that. I feel like last week's was a bit of a, like we said last week, it felt like Dave was like, I want pod racing again. I want to do pod
Yeah,
racing. I loved pod racing as a kid. I want to do a pod racing episode. Fuck it, we'll just do it now.
yeah, I agree.
I think
Um,
that was the kind of like unneeded fill one, really.
but I do think these episodes can only age better based on any
Yeah,
additional context we get later on in the season. So right now is probably the most critical we're going to be of them, because they can only add context further down the line that's going to make them retroactively seem like better episodes.
yeah, and I mean, look at the Clone Wars animated series. There is a way online that people have put together, like for people that are trying to watch all of Star Wars, like films and
Yeah.
everything, there's a very minimal watch list for the Clone Wars animated to get all the important episodes.
Yeah, the
So
only
like,
full season of Clone Wars you need to watch is the last season, isn't it?
yeah. So it's like there is always in the anime there's always been filler, and I think they're just trying to stick with that same feel of the
Maybe that's
Clone
what it is.
Wars.
Maybe that's what it is.
But yeah.
Anyway, it was still a good episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Still
But
enjoy it.
I'm ready to get back to bigger adventures now.
Yes.
Talking of animated shows,
Yes. Lots of animated shows.
week 1 of the new Vox Machina series dropped.
Yes, season 2.
So I never watched Critical Role.
Mm-hmm.
It's never been my thing. I might try and get into it at some point, but I kind of stream at awkward hours and stuff. And I wouldn't rewatch stuff because then I think it just would be even more,
It's
I don't know, tiring.
also a big undertaking.
Yeah, exactly. However, when season 1 came out, whenever the fuck it was now, and you mentioned it, I was like, I'll give it a go, because D&D as a concept is really cool to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a big believer that with the way D&D is structured, if it's recorded properly, you can turn it into phenomenal content via live action or animated or whatever, just because of the natural shenanigans that occur in D&D.
Yep.
So you told me the show's coming, so I was like, okay, I'll give it a watch. Phenomenal show. I loved season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So when you let me know last week that season 2 was coming, I was very excited to get going.
I have watched all of the campaign 1. I've watched like half of campaign 2, which we'll talk about later on in the episode today. But yeah, for like you're saying, watching the live show, I saw a really good interview from the Critical Role guys that actually summed it up really well, because they asked them like, okay, for someone who hasn't watched any of your live show or anything, should they go watch the live show first before watching animated, or watch the animated? Like how? And straight away, Taliesin, who is Percy,
Yeah.
was just like, oh no, just watch the animated.
Yeah.
It was
It
like,
condenses all the funny stuff down, because like an encounter in
yes,
D&D can take hours, can't it?
well, yeah, it can, like
And
one
they cut it
fight.
down into like a 5-minute segment, and you get all of the excitement all in one go.
Yeah, the way what was it? The way Taliesin, he said, watch the animated. Is like, if the live show is like the world's longest director's cut.
Yes, That's such a good way to
Yeah,
describe it.
and I was like, that's exactly it. And it's like, sure, if you watch the animated and you really want to go watch it, feel free. It's there, but there is hours of content to get through.
Yeah.
You're, in my opinion, you're better off just trying to get caught up on the new campaign 3 if you want to watch the live.
Yeah. It's like reading a 1,000-page book versus watching a 2-hour film. Yes,
Yeah.
you're going to get extra stuff from the book that
Well,
you're
yeah.
like, wow, that's brilliant, blah, 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 blah. But watching the 2-hour film, if it's done right, is going to give you the bits that are important. Like, you can tell it's based on D&D because a lot of it, especially in the action,
Mm-hmm.
isn't stuff that would happen if it was just written as a script.
Yes,
Like,
there is little moments where,
yeah,
obviously in
wait,
D&D you have critical fails and things go wrong and things you want to do don't work, and they write that into the show. They keep true to it, obviously.
yeah,
So
like,
the thing I would say is, if you watch the animated and you want to know more about the live show of it, people have already started putting together comparisons of moments from the animated versus what happened in the live show. Just watch them.
I mean, the big one I can't remember if I mentioned it last week or after the podcast last week, but the big one I noticed was Hori said to me that during campaign 1 they had a lot of issues with doors.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed, like, while watching the first season, they're trying to get into a castle or a building at some point and they can't get the door to fucking open.
Yeah.
And I'm there like, I can imagine, even though I'm watching this and everyone voices their character as well because they're all actors, it's brilliant. I'm just sat there like, I can imagine how frustrating it would be, all of them just rolling these fucking dice, desperately trying to get this door open. And it's funny because the scene ends up being like 3 or 4 minutes that isn't needed for the story at all. You could 100% cut that 4 minutes out, but it's a
Oh,
big part of the campaign.
yeah, and just the
So
characters.
it makes it, that's the kind of stuff that wouldn't normally be in a show like
Oh,
this.
100%. So,
And I think that's part of the reason I love it so much because it feels organic because it was.
yeah. So yeah, we're into season 2 started. We got the first 3 episodes. They're doing the same thing where they drop it in chunks. And it opens with the introduction to the Chroma Conclave, which is all the dragons.
Which was badass, by the way. The animation for that is phenomenal.
That was, I think, I watched a thing where there was a bit of a breakdown, one of the animators, and he was just like, this was probably the most difficult episode of the first, like, one of this season, because there's so much goes on.
Yeah, it was phenomenal animation. They should be very, very proud of themselves. It looked just mind-meltingly good.
There was, so, obviously I don't want to make, because I've seen the comment, I don't want to make any spoilers, but put it this way, the Chroma Conclave is now the main villain for the next 2 seasons. So we're going to be dealing with these dragons for a while. And obviously, like, how it played out in the show is pretty much exactly as Matt was like narrating it. Because obviously Matt was narrating it as DM. It's like, as the ice dragon came in and blew up the tower and everything starts going like, and it's so well done. And in a sense that, like, shows that do fantasy, whenever they do a dragon, it's a fire breathing dragon. Or in D&D, different colored dragons have different breath types. So
okay, cool. So that is a proper D&D thing. That's not a homebrew thing.
No. So green dragons, it's the gas, the one that was doing all the gas. The black is poison or like acid. Ice obviously does ice and fire. So yeah, it's very cool getting to see it in an animated sense like that. There was a really cool moment that, like you were saying about the things that go wrong, when Grog goes to hit the red dragon and his axe shatters.
Yes. That's a critical failure, nat 1 roll.
That wasn't a crit fail. So what that's showing off is, obviously these dragons are going on and everything's going mental, and it gets to a point where it's like the red dragon lands there. So off the rip, Grog just goes, I fucking attack it. And he rolls, he gets a 19 to hit. He's like, 19 to hit, like proper confident. And then Matt's just like, you run, leap, and I know he's like, well, how is it? I think it was as simple as he's there. He's like, 19 to hit, confident, and Matt just goes, misses, with like this straight dead face. And you just see Grog's like his face just go, wait, what? A 19 minute? Because at this point, they hadn't really dealt with an enemy this big.
Yeah.
So suddenly they're like, oh shit, we're not as strong as we think we are. This
Well,
isn't
yeah, because you've
good.
got like the whole leveling process in D&D as
Well,
well.
yeah. So yeah, there's that realization of, oh fuck. And the way they do it in the animated is like he goes to hit it and his axe just explodes to show that like he just can't hit this thing. But yeah, first episode was crazy, seeing all the dragons. I'm trying to remember. Episode 2 was when they went to Vasselheim, I think,
Yes.
which is the religious city. Which obviously, again, I saw that and I'm like, oh, I know what's coming up here. And we get a fun moment, a fun split of the party where Grog gets distracted.
I'm just gonna say it, and people are gonna start sense a theme here. Grog and Wrecker,
Yes.
funny. I don't know what it is. It only seems to happen for me in animated shows. The big, lovable, stupidly strong idiot is one of my favorite stereotypes in shows. I love it so much.
Well, the reason Travis played Grog as stupid was he rolled his stats for Grog, and he had one that he rolled terribly on. So he was like, fuck it, I'll put it in intelligence. I'm being a barbarian. It doesn't matter. So then he just got to play, and he played, like, throughout the whole campaign, like, he plays that character. Like, you gotta remember, someone who is, like, obviously not that stupid, like, trying to play yourself down in a comedic, and like doing it in such a comedic way of like timing on things.
Well, you got to remember because like that the guy might understand what's about to happen, but his character doesn't. And if he's going to play the game faithfully, he has to think like his character. So yes, I might understand that if my character does this, that's a bad fucking idea. He's a dumbass. He doesn't understand that. He will do that.
Exactly.
And that, I mean, that's such an impressive skill to be able to do. But the voice acting for Grog is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I love his voice for Grog. So yeah, we get to see Grog goes to the
super jacked old man.
Yeah, he goes to the temple of the Thunderlord.
Yeah, Thunder
Lords. I
Lords.
think it is Thunderlords. And he meets Earthbreaker Groom, which was so fun to see that interaction animated.
I can imagine that was a lot of bad rolls as well.
So it was a mix of bad rolls and just how Matt was playing it. So like, if you picture that episode, so he starts talking to him, and then it's like before he starts asking him where's his strength come from, and before he's even said anything, he does that thing where he dashes forward and like elbows him in the gut, and like Grog's character goes flying back. What happened in the live game was he's explaining Earthbreaker Groom, and then he's like, Matt goes, where does your strength come from? And Travis is there thinking as Grog, and then he goes, before you even do anything, Earthbreaker Groom, a flash of lightning is in front of you, elbows you in the stomach, and then Travis is like, wait, what? I've been hit? Like, what? This isn't going to happen. And then obviously Matt was asking him every time, like, where does your strength come from? And Travis is like, my rage, and then note smacked again. He's like, fuck. My heart, note smacked again. He's like, oh, I can't work this out. And
I really enjoyed in the show, and he goes, you want me to say something stupid like my muscles? And I'm like, no, that would be the smart person's like stupid answer, not the dumb person's smart answer.
It's so well done, and just like watching him get beaten. But this isn't the last, like, this is the first of a few times he has interactions with Earthbreaker Groom. But yeah, I love getting to watch that.
Yeah. Then you had the other group who went to meet the Sphinx.
Yeah, the Slayer's Take.
The Sphinx looked awesome.
Yes.
I've never seen something so majestic and so intimidating at the same time.
So well done. And I remember when they first met that in the live game, and they obviously weren't expecting it. Like, the Sphinx is so cool, and the way, because obviously, like, Matt explained, like, in the live show, I remember Matt like explaining to each character what was going on, but like to visually see them like get put through these like hallucinations and stuff was really cool to see, and getting to watch like every different way that they did it.
I really enjoyed Scantlin's hallucination because obviously he's always like a big personality because he wants to be the center of attention. So the Sphinx is going, no one gives a fuck about you, so I don't either. Was like,
Yeah.
holy
Yeah.
shit, that is a critical hit if ever I saw one.
I can't. I'd have to go back and watch like a comparison, but it wouldn't surprise me if Matt had gone round everyone. So then Sam was like, "Okay, what's he gonna do for Scanlon?" And then he just goes, "No, you don't deserve anything." And he was probably like,
It's just and the thing is, it works so good for the character as well because yeah, he's the loud bard who has sex with everything he can get near.
"Yeah,
So just no one giving him attention is just perfect.
it really is." And yeah, the whole Sphinx, and then we got introduced to this idea of they've got to go get the vestiges of divergence, which become a
D&D
big.
does have some wacky names, by the way.
Basically, just to, if you weren't fully, they're really powerful magical items, and essentially, what their whole thing now is like throughout the rest of the campaign. Obviously, lots of other stuff happens, but they're like they pick one and they start trying to find it, and then they get one, and it's a bunch of items that some very
Power
cool
leveling,
items.
essentially.
Yeah, it's to help them out. So that's going to be really cool. And we got introduced to Cassandra. Is it Cassandra and Cash?
No, it's not Cassandra.
No,
It's Cash and I forget her name.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but they were guests on the live show.
Oh,
so
were they?
Voiced by the same people. Getting to,
Oh,
like,
okay, so
voice
they
their
weren't
own...
NPCs.
No, so they were characters that were guests and were on for a few episodes.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
did Matt kind of like give them their intentions of like trying, or did they just turn up and be like, you can cause chaos if you want to. If you want to be helpful, go for it. If you want to be difficult and arseholes, go for it.
I think Matt would have been like, okay, your characters can be whatever they want, like however you want them styled and personality-wise, but they are part of the Slayer's Take, and I think that's how he set them up, and like, you're part of this group, and it probably explains to them like you're gonna help them on finding the first item. It's like a way to introduce them in. But like, I could be wrong, but I think they were the first guests on Critical Role, because by
so
this
we got
point,
a lot more of them to come, even if it's not necessarily in this campaign.
Yeah, they show up some more, and obviously we get in the live show there was more guests, because it got to a point with the live show, it was getting so much traction and was becoming a talking point amongst the voice actors. So everyone started to learn about, oh, there's this D&D session that Matt runs with like Travis and Laura and all the, like, they all play D&D, and so then they were like, I want to come on. I want to play. So
I'm
Matt
a voice
started
actor. I like D&D, and this is a brilliant way for me to shaft my voice acting with thousands of eyes.
So they obviously started having guests on. But that's where they came from. And they obviously went and did this tomb, which, did you notice? They struggled with a door again.
Yeah. I did notice earlier on, I can't remember what episode it was on, a door randomly just like opened at the perfect time and it like saved all their lives, and they're like, the first time a door's been useful. And I was like, that's funny.
I think it wouldn't surprise me. Obviously I can't really remember, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was like they rolled perfectly or something and like it just opened.
But my favorite one was Grog going to open the door and pulling on it, and he's like, that's a push, buddy.
Yeah. That was a case of, I think he went to open it, it was locked, and they probably rolled to strengthen, and then it was like, no, it's a pull. Just pull it.
It's just funny. It's so funny.
But yeah, the first 3 episodes were great. We got introduced to the big bad. We got...
I do have one burning question.
Okay.
Is Vex dead?
Oh, God, yeah, the end of the episode 3.
Yeah.
So...
Because I know characters can die in D&D, but it was so like I'm trying to think of like a comparison. You know, like Orange is the New Black, when Pusey dies, and it just comes out of fucking nowhere, and you're like, wait, what the fuck? That's what happened. I was like, so is Pike gonna heal her, or is she dead? And then we start getting flashbacks of them as children.
once they were in the tomb, I knew this was coming, and I was just like, oh no. I obviously don't want to give off spoilers, but like this episode we got, and this is how it was playing out in the comic. This is how they were playing their characters. Vex and Vax were like being a bit like sibling kind of not love, like kind of hate, getting annoyed at each other sort of thing.
Yeah.
We saw that, and they were showing it off in the animated, like what they were going through. So we will get, like, you got that in the live show, getting to experience them playing their characters like that. And then yeah, so what happens with the tomb is Percy's touched it, which set off a trap.
Yeah.
Of which I think they rolled a saving throw, and I can't remember exactly, and I think Percy succeeded and Vex didn't, which is why it hit her. And what we saw right at the end is Pike can't heal her because there's two ways of dying in D&D.
Yeah.
When you get to 0 hit points, you don't. People say, "Oh, I'm down or I'm dead." Technically, you're just unconscious,
Okay.
and then you have like you roll 3 times, and if you get over a 10, it's a success. Under a 10, it's a fail. If you get 3 fails, you die. If you get 3 successes, you come back to 1 hit point. What happens there is, if you're in that state, you can be healed out of it. So if you're unconscious, you can just get healed. You get your hit points back. You wake up and you're like, I'm alive. What happened was Pike couldn't heal because Vex had died.
Shit.
So we will now see what plays out from that.
So I imagine a new character with a very similar voice is going to be rocking up from the not too distant future.
We'll wait and see.
My name is Mex. I am your long lost older sister.
I am your long lost triplet. No, I won't spoil anything, but
that came out of nowhere and hit me like a sledgehammer. And I sat there, I was like, is she dead? Is she dead? Why are we seeing flashbacks of them as a child? She's not dead, right?
So I knew it was coming. And obviously, like the whole point where they're like the opening tune, I'm like, no, don't. And even though I know what's gonna happen, I'm like, Percy, no, just don't. Percy, why?
Percy, don't touch it, you dick.
I didn't expect them to end the episode there. That's what caught me off guard. I was like, oh shit, you're leaving people really wanting more. But yeah, you'll see probably in the next episode what happens or what goes on. I
don't know. Depending on how they want to run it, they might. I'm making the assumption, as someone who hasn't seen the campaign, in D&D, if someone's character dies, they normally just make a new character, is my understanding.
Yes.
I'm going to assume that we get an episode where the characters get to mourn before we get the replacement.
We'll wait and see. You'll be able to watch it tomorrow or as you're listening to this episode today. And but yeah, first 3 episodes, brilliant. I'm so excited to have more and getting to watch, because like watching it live, like the live show, and now getting to see it in animated is just like so satisfying's not quite the right word, but like getting to see it be animated just brings a whole new light to it and life.
One thing I will say is once Quark gets his beard.
Oh, Grog gets his beard.
Big Kratos vibes.
So fun thing with that, he obviously gets the belt.
Yeah, and you have to like roll to see what he's going to do, and he rolls really badly.
No, so they grabbed all those magical items and just shoved them in the bag, and then they go through them. So far, they've only gone through, or Grog put the belt on. It is the belt of dwarven kind.
Okay.
So it gives you like increased stats with it, but then there's a sub thing that's like, whoever wears this instantly grows a luscious dwarven beard.
I really want Kaylee to wear it at some point. Kelly.
Keyleth.
The
one with the antlers.
Yeah. I really want her to wear it at some point.
Well, what happens is, obviously Grog, being a low intelligence character, was like, holy shit, I can grow a beard now. This is amazing. And becomes extremely attached to his beard.
Yes.
And as we saw briefly when like a little bit gets cut off, and he's like, "No." There's some shenanigans that happen with the beard,
I can imagine.
and I can't wait for those to get animated because
Yeah,
there's
I can only imagine it's shit like, I forget his name, Trevor, who's playing Grog.
Travis.
Travis. It has a lot of fun with the beard, and as a result of that, other people in the party are like, "I've got to get rid of that fucking beard."
Not to give spoilers, but let's just say a bit of a prank war starts.
I love it. I love it so much.
So yeah, there's gonna be some shenanigans that get animated, and I can't wait for them. They're gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. But yeah, when he had that beard with, because yeah, it's like his lines and then the blood was on his face, I was
Yeah,
like,
no, it is.
that is proper Kratos vibes right there.
It is proper Kratos vibes.
And I'm curious to see what comes of the blood sword that is definitely altering his mind while he's using it. That's gonna be a fun one.
So it's not necessarily altering his mind. It's a sentient sword.
Also, it's like possessing him.
Well, it's talking to him, and because he's wielding it, it wants something. But it's like it kept asking. It's saying it's hungry.
Yeah, and he went and got drunk.
Well, yeah, this is the funny thing. A low intelligence character has a sword talking to them. They can't understand that. So it's just like, it was the perfect... Matt knew what he was doing. Like having that sword there and be a thing. Like he knew who was going to use it. And it does lead to some hilarious moments that I honestly can't wait to be animated. It's honestly, this season 2 is going to be great. It's going to be great.
And then this wraps on to one of the first things to happen on a Thursday before we start recording.
I know, right?
The new Shazam Fury of the Gods trailer.
We got something new in time for the record session.
Absolutely phenomenal scenes. Rare DC dub. Overall, I have two big takeaways from the trailer.
Okay.
Helen Mirren and Lucy fucking Liu.
Yeah,
like,
I
fuck?
wasn't expecting them.
Like, what the? Maybe I missed something, and like everyone knew they had been cast for a while now. But fuck me, what? They are two very famous, very successful actresses.
Yeah,
it's wild to see them teaming up to be the bad guys in a film. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's not the kind of. They're not what I expect, like who I expected to be in this film.
No.
From the trailer, it looks sick.
It looks very fantasy based. Like
yes.
there's dragons. They look like they're like warrior witches. Like,
yeah, it's definitely playing into this whole like the Shazam wizards and
it's got that wizardry and witches and mystical, fantastical element while being based in modern superhero, and like it's a nice idea, and I hope they can execute it because it could look really fucking cool.
I think it looks sick, and it's like the like we said, the combo that they're doing. It feels like they're going for some sort of like coming of age, like that sort of coming of age for the hero. Like they're quite clearly now trying to like get him past a revelation.
He saved the world once. He's been acting as a hero, but now he needs to grow up a little bit and realize how serious stuff can be.
Yes. So if they can do that right, and it doesn't come across as like a bit cheesy, like the weird mix of fantasy and stuff, I think it'll be a really good film.
Yeah,
it's the best looking DC film in a while.
Yeah, I'd without having the dates in front of me, I'd say it's probably the best looking DC film since Shazam.
Fair.
I really enjoyed Shazam. Don't get me wrong; it was nothing special. It was relatively generic on its plot points, but it didn't overstay its welcome. It didn't do anything massively wrong. It was a good introduction to the character for a lot of people who don't know Shazam. And Zachary Levi is stunning as a leading man. I've really enjoyed him since Chuck. Don't know if anyone out there remembers a little show called Chuck, absolutely rogue show that I adored. So hopefully this one can take all the good stuff from the first one and then build it up with a more compelling story. And if they've managed to get Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu, either they are cutting fat checks
Mm,
or there was enough in the script to make them go, let's give it a go.
yeah. I also wonder if, because James Gunn will have already seen this film. Like he'll have watched
I expect so.
a preview of it, because he'll also have had to decide, like, is it sticking around in his world?
Yeah.
I wonder if, I'm hoping, because we haven't heard that thing, he's lost his role as, I can't remember his name, that's going to my head.
Shazam.
As Shazam. Um he's sticking around. So in that sense, that makes me somewhat confident this is a good film, because James Gunn obviously is happy with where they're at with the Shazam stuff and how it fits into things. Maybe.
See, I feel like that's a dangerous trap to fall into for one reason. He can like Zachary Levi as Shazam and like the character Shazam
True.
and just go, hey, I'm keeping that casting. I like it, but these films aren't going to matter afterwards.
Yeah,
Don't
true.
get me wrong. If he likes the character and he likes the main actor, the film will probably still be passable,
Hmm.
but it doesn't mean he won't, in his soft, hard reboot, whatever it ends up being, it doesn't mean he's not just going to go, yeah, cool. It's the same actor, it's the same character, different story.
Yeah, true. That is true. But I'm hopeful.
But
I'm hopeful.
yeah,
For it.
I mean, we've got a big year with lots of stuff coming out, and hopefully that ends up being a highlight rather than a low light, I guess is the best way we can put it.
Yeah, literally.
But let's move on to the news of the week from the Nerd News Network. Big week this week. Oscar
Yeah.
nominations are out.
They
Or
are.
out.
In.
They're in. The nominations are in.
Yes.
And we've got some big ones for the nerdy world. So The Batman has been nominated for Best Sound, Best Makeup and Hair, and Best Visual Effects.
But it didn't get nominated for
Cinematography,
cinematography and best
which
score.
I would, which a lot of people aren't impressed with, and I can't say that I disagree with them.
Yeah, how it didn't get cinematography, I don't know.
Yeah. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever has been nominated for Best Makeup and Hair, Best Visual Effects, Best Original Song, Best Costume Design, and Best Supporting Actress for Angela Bassett, making her the first person to be nominating for an acting Oscar in a Marvel film.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
And it would also be her first Oscar.
Which would be
and
hell of
I mean, it'd be huge for her, but
Yeah.
like she's been in a number of other films that I forget the name of now, where people feel like she was robbed of an Oscar. So people are like, okay, whether you like superhero films or not, this woman should have had an Oscar years ago. So let's make sure she gets it here, please.
Let's not have another Leonardo DiCaprio issue where we have to wait every time. It's like,
yeah. So huge congratulations to Angela. I mean, she was phenomenal.
She
Wakanda
was
Forever as Queen Ramona. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything in the Black Panther nominations that I disagree with or think is missing.
No.
And then Avatar: The Way of Water has been nominated for Best Picture, Best Production Design, Best Sound, and Best Visual Effects. Let's throw it out there. It's going to win Best Visual Effects.
I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if it won Best Visual Effects, and I do think it's earned Best Visual Effects.
Yeah, no, I have no issue with that. Best Picture is fucking outrageous.
Well, it's just because it's earned a load of money, so they're like, we have to nominate it.
No, but if that's the case, Avengers: Endgame and Infinity War should have won Best Picture.
Yeah,
if that's what we're going off of,
we know the Oscars don't like superhero films.
So here's my problem with it being given Best Picture. Don't get me wrong, I haven't seen it, but I've read enough on the internet from people whose opinions I trust to know that it has done the exact same thing that the first one did. And yes, it looks stunning, but the story is not that fucking impressive. So how the fuck can it win Best Picture? Because Best Picture isn't about the best thing you see, it is about the film. So I have no issue with it winning Best Visual Effects, because yes, it looks stunning. I'm A-okay with it winning that.
Yeah.
Best Picture is a fucking slap in the face to everything else that's even been nominated because it does nothing special.
Yeah, but we have to also remember this is the Oscars.
Yeah, I mean the Oscars mean very
Everyone
little.
is and everyone is well aware that there is some little backhand deals with the Oscars for we nominate this, we don't nominate this.
I would say with Chest that if Avatar: The Way of the Water is nominated for Best Picture, Black Panther and Batman should both be as well.
Yeah, I would agree.
Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is a phenomenal film with a basically entirely ethnic cast and production crew that made an absolute masterpiece of storytelling. And Batman changed the superhero genre from what we thought it had to be.
Yes.
So if we're going to say Avatar from a full film point of view has done enough to get nominated, I think both of them have as well.
Yeah, it's
and that's my main sticking point. I'm not saying they should be nominated for Best Picture, but I'm saying if Avatar: The Way of the Water's on there, they should be as well.
It's just one of those with the Oscars, isn't it? Where
Yes, it absolutely is.
There's always some controversial that just feels like, oh well, that feels like a backhanded deal and nomination.
But I do also agree that Batman not getting nominated for cinematography or score is criminal. Criminal.
Yeah,
outrageous. I can't believe it.
How it hasn't been nominated for cinematography is just
that's one of the whole selling points of the film for a lot of people. I know people who went to see that film after they saw the trailers and stuff for the cinematography. They don't even fucking like superhero films. They're just like, but pretty, which is fine, by the way. If you go to the cinema just because you want to watch something pretty, that is absolutely fine. Well, go watch Avatar, you'll love it.
Yeah. I'll be surprised if Avatar doesn't win visual effects.
It will win visual effects. And I wholeheartedly think it should. It is pushing visual effects forward. Yeah. So it should 100% win that. I have zero issue with it winning that. That nomination for Best Picture, though, just makes my blood boil because it's the dumbest thing ever.
Well, we know how much you love Avatar.
I want to love it.
I'm not going to start you up on it.
Yeah, I want to love it, but it's a pretender. But interestingly, there are heavy rumors that a Flash trailer is going to be premiered during the Super Bowl.
We got a new tease, new first look at a trailer.
Yeah. But I think a lot of that is from stills and pictures we've seen before and that. I'm hoping this trailer will have some new footage that we haven't already seen.
Hopefully. I don't know,
You have to be hype, Hori. I care about this character.
I care about the character. It worries me.
I know. I 100% get it. But when I saw that, I was like, shit, yeah, the Super Bowl's around the corner. You'd think I'd know that, bearing in mind how closely I pay attention to the NFL. By the way, Brock Purdy is the GOAT. AMA. So I'm thinking, what else are we going to get trailers for?
I think we're going to get... I don't know if we'll get a Deadpool trailer. We might do. Or teaser. But we're going to get a scenario of one of the
I don't even know if it started filming yet.
Yeah, but we'll... Oh, true. We're going to get something. Another thing with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds on a couch. Just talking or something.
I reckon we get something for the next Disney film. Star Wars film, not Disney film.
The Disney film.
There will be many Disney films that have trailers at the Super Bowl. I think we'll get something Star Wars related.
We'll probably get another Mando thing that's a bit extra.
Maybe.
I think. Oh, do you know what? We might get an Ahsoka trailer.
We might do. There is a lot of big stuff coming out March to July time. So this is going to be some prime advertisement spot.
There's going to be an Ant-Man Super Bowl spot. There's going to be 100%. Some extra little scene that we haven't seen.
Yeah, a big important hit. Yeah. There might be Guardians. You might get Guardians second trailer.
Yeah, we might.
What comes out? Let me look at that picture I sent you earlier of what's coming out.
I'm trying to remember what's... Do we get an Aquaman trailer?
That's not coming out till the back end of the year. I'd be surprised. Right,
Yeah,
so
true.
March 17th is Shazam. We've already
Right.
seen the trailer for that, but they might rerun the trailer for that.
Yeah, maybe have like a couple extra little scenes for
Um,
Superbowl.
who's doing the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves film? Like, who's bankrolling that?
Oh, I
Because
can't.
that comes out March 31st.
Let me double check. I can't remember who is Paramount, I think.
They might spend enough money on that to get another trailer for that out. We'll probably get a Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse trailer
Yes.
because that comes out June 2nd. And maybe a Marvels and a Blue Beetle, but they're a lot later on in the year, so they might hold off on them for a little while. And I don't think we'll get all of these, by the way. These are just the ones that have an opportunity to potentially get shown.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any TV shows.
As a general rule, they don't, unless they've got like no films coming out, they tend to use these spots for films because of how expensive they are.
True.
But I don't know what TV shows we have coming out that might
I'm trying to think
garner a
if there's
spot.
any
Maybe Ahsoka.
big Ahsoka. Yeah, I'm just trying to think like really big ones. Ahsoka's the only
I'm
one because we're not anywhere near a Lord of the Rings season 2.
I'm just very aware that we've not had a Star Wars film for a little while now. So this might be when they announce like a teaser for the next Star Wars film that's going to be coming early next year or whatever.
Yeah, possibly.
Like that would be like a prime spot, middle of the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy's got the 49ers up 49-0. Go to a break, fucking
Do you know what would be
episode
great?
10.
Well, no, do you know what would be great? Is if it's like a completely like black screen, and then there's like one red lightsaber lights up, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, it's Kylo Ren or something with Vader again," and then there's just like 5 more red ones behind him or something, and we're just like, "Oh, we're getting Sith timeline."
Yeah, bitch.
It's like just pure red lightsabers, and you're like, "Oh shit."
Or even better, you get like one, and then you get another, and they bring them up, and you see like the Revan mask,
Ooh,
and you're just like, internet collectively melts down. Nerds and football fans all going ham on the timeline.
But yeah,
But
I
yeah,
think,
it'll be interesting to see what we get during the Super Bowl, lads. There's always some corkers in there.
yeah, there is.
Apparently, Prime, the KSI and Logan Paul beverages, got a Super Bowl lad as well.
Jeez.
Money men.
Yeah, they've made far too much money off that drink to should not be able to warrant a
What's
Super
the
Bowl.
best shop in Waikiki?
Oh, stop. No.
Abdul, come closer. Fucking do not spend £100 on a bottle drink, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
It's ridiculous that anyone has to say that, but I'll say that. And then the big bit of news.
Yes.
I mean, it's not. This is a huge bit of news for I think content creators everywhere to be aware of.
I'm just
Because
the nerd world.
yeah, because it might pave the way for other people.
Yeah.
Critical Role has signed a multi-year deal with Prime Video.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to start with the adaptation of their second campaign, Mighty Nine.
Yes, correct. So,
but apparently they're looking to also include films as well as potentially a docuseries about like the background behind it all and that. It looks like they're willing to go all in on like how the fuck does this Critical Role shit go?
So they teased or announced the deal along with like a thing. The basically was just like panning through their studio, and it was like them all doing their voices for the Mighty Nine characters and stuff. Mighty Nine was the second campaign that they started after the Vox Machina one concluded. Everyone in new characters, same voice actors. And yeah, they're turning it into an anime. So I mean, this was obviously already planned anyway, but like to have this deal in the works, and then what I should have said is the opening 3 episodes, I think on Rotten Tomatoes got like 100%.
Oh,
like,
what of this season of Vox Machina?
Yeah, like it got like
I'm not surprised. They're phenomenal.
Amazing opening ratings. So it's like that on top of this deal coming, Prime will probably like, oh, we made the perfect perfect choice.
Hey,
Clearly,
thank fuck we got them signed that deal last week. Otherwise, we would have been paying
yeah,
more.
literally. But like, I think everyone who watches the Critical Role, and obviously these animated shows have been great, we're loving them. Everyone kind of was like, we'll probably get Mighty Nine once Vox Machina's done. And then they've turned around and gone, oh yeah, no, Mighty Nine's in the works. Or
Well,
in
I mean,
start.
here's the thing: animated shows take so long.
Mm.
They can get these guys recording the voice lines ages in advance, and then
Well,
just like if they have
it
like say
was,
2 sets of animators, they're like, okay, so season two's just been finished, so now you start working on season one of Mighty Nine, while these guys working on season three of Vox Machina, and then they can just keep like leapfrogging each other to make sure like every year, every 18 months, the next season is dropping.
well, like and the thing as well is, to be real, like, they don't have to, they're not fully writing a script from scratch.
Exactly. The amount of time that must save.
They've got Matt's got writers on board, and there's like a small team of writers for this now. To basically, they're going through adapting, obviously, what happens in the live show into a format, a script that works for animation, and then also adding in little bits and like readjusting stuff so it float like as you would. So it seems from that teaser that like the first script's already, or the first like writing process is already well underway. So I
Yeah.
think it's going into production. So we're gonna get Mighty Nine. Wouldn't surprise me if we get season 1 of Mighty Nine before we get season 3 of Vox Machina.
Which I think would actually be good business.
Yeah, I
The one thing I
agree.
do have to ask is, do you know what campaign Critical Role are currently on?
They're third.
They're on their third.
Yes.
So if we say it's 3 seasons of Vox Machina, was Mighty Nine about the same length as Vox Machina?
I think so. I didn't finish Mighty Nine. So
So so if we say that's 6 seasons for them two shows, maybe 7 if we're being generous,
yeah.
and you say they're going to leave a year between each one, they're building in a natural, because a year is a
Mhm.
perfectly acceptable amount of time to wait for a normal show, let alone an animated show where people always expect to have to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So, and that entire time they're still doing Critical Role, they're still adding more
Oh,
stuff for them. And the best bit is now, because they know they're doing it, the second they are working on a campaign, they can start like checking down stuff so they like don't have to spend as much time waiting around afterwards.
oh yeah. I imagine I can guarantee this third campaign, there's probably already in the back of Matt's head of like how this is going to become animated. Because that's just
Um,
the nature now.
yeah.
But also
As
like the
long as
idea
it
of go on.
as long as it allows it to remain as organic feeling,
Oh,
it's perfect.
yeah, it
Because
will.
it's what you're doing is you're going, oh, people love hearing about in like what these people are seeing in their head while playing off in board game. We're just animating it.
Yeah.
Like it is so stupidly simple. I mean, it's like I can't remember what YouTube channel does it, but it's a YouTube channel that takes funny streamer clips and animates them.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that happens all the time. And
Yeah, and people love it.
it's happened with D&D campaigns where they've taken like little moments and people like Vox Machina, while that campaign one was going on, fans would watch the funny moments and they'd be like, oh, like people in the fandom that do animation would just animate little things. It's like people always
Exactly.
love seeing it from that point of view. So it's
Because you've got
such
to
a
remember,
smart move by Prime.
and the thing is, you've got to remember there are a lot of people who, and don't get me wrong, I only realized this a couple of years ago. People can't close their eyes and picture actual images.
Oh yeah.
So for some people, they're going to enjoy this, and they won't have that active imagination to be able to picture it. So now they can.
Hmm.
Like it is as close as you can get to a license to print money.
Yeah. And it was funny because like also you mentioned that the sounds like they're going to do like a docu-series. Wouldn't surprise me to show more so for like the fans that the animated shows are going to pick up that have no clue who Critical Role are, to then show like, oh no, this is like just a bunch of voice actors and this, look, they've built this full-on studio, this like top of the line, like it is the coolest D&D table setup because obviously they've done it as production in mind. But yeah, it's wild. And I saw recently, it was after this clip, it was like showed up on my TikTok, and someone had found a clip from like, I think it was episode 6 of when they first started it. and obviously was gaining like viewership on Twitch and doing well off the rip. And then there's like a moment where at the beginning of this episode, Matt's like, guys, if you are loving this, hit the subscribe button, just watch the content, because that lets us keep making content. And then you look at it now and they've signed a huge fucking multi-year deal with Prime. It's just
And this is a prime example of why Wizards of the Coast had to back the fuck up and not make creators feel like they were going to get money taken away from them. Because I promise you, this show and the future series of this show is only going to help D&D. Wizards of the Coast will get their money from the amount of people who watch this and go, holy shit, D&D sounds fun as hell, and go and buy a book to try it.
Yep. And then I'm also now thinking, there's been lots of so obviously they've had the main campaigns going. During campaign 2, they went back and obviously I don't want to spoil things, but they did a special one-off episode of Vox Machina again for something that happened as they ended the campaign just after. So they have the ability to
film.
Well, yeah, they have the ability to go back and do like a animated film as a special of just that, turn that into it. They also have some characters. They have like some small short campaigns that are like 6 episodes or 10 episodes long that could be turned into like we say, animated films if they wanted to make them into specials.
90-minute specials, yeah.
They did one that was a special episode where they all played bears, and one of them, and Matt, played as Trinket, Vex's bear.
Phenomenal.
And they basically did, I think they all got like polymorphed, so they had to be bears pretending to be people. And it was a fun just one up. Like, you could fucking turn that into like this. Critical Role's got all these things, and it also, because they're their own entity, they're friends with like the people that do Dimension 20, Brennan Lee Mulligan. He hit all his D&D shows. Here's to say, like, what if they not necessarily bring them under, but like them making a deal with Prime opens the door to some of these other bigger D&D shows to also get this, like, to be looked at now. And
yeah, 100%.
Like you say, for content creators, like, it opens a new door now of, if you're producing story-driven content like that, like, there's many avenues that can be developed into to reuse.
Imagine you've got like, I'm not saying this would be successful, but as a for instance, say you've got like a RPing Minecraft server that just blows the fuck up.
Well, how about the Dream SMP that everyone was talking about? Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, you've got a Minecraft RP server, so these people are their characters, and it's very deep lore, and it blows up in the way the Dream SMP did. You could find a way to make that work.
Yeah, you really could. Like, there's a lot of.
There's so many options.
Exactly, and I think.
And video games and video game content and board game content has never been higher.
I think as long as. And because creators want to be in more control of stuff like that, it's not like, because of just our generation and how we perceive, like, Critical Role's full control over all of this anime. Like, they were the ones who went to the animation studio and have written it, and it's just Prime's just putting it out there. Creators are in more of that mindset of wanting to keep control. So it's like, there's no risk of them selling it to like Prime and then Prime completely turns into something it's not. I think that era of like bad game
bad, cheap, money grabs are hopefully gone.
Well, on the way out, there's still going to be the odd one where like the Halo series,
and they'll never fully go, but they'll transfer into other things instead, instead of poor video game adaptations. But I mean, it's an exciting thing to see happen, and if Vox Machina season 1 and the first 3 episodes of season 2 are anything to go by, we could have a long-running, good stem of entertainment here.
Animated shows.
Yeah, 100%.
That is just gonna rake them in money.
Yeah. But let's move on to our superhero showdown.
Yes.
Ra's al Ghul versus Cheetah in the first of the DC villains. portion of the bracket. The first in the last portion of the bracket, full stop.
Yes.
With Raish being our number 1 seed and Cheetah being our number 8 seed, of course, Cheetah gets an advantage. Now, here's the problem.
Okay.
I have zero clue what you can give Cheetah to give her even a hope in hell against Ra's al Ghul. Because so Cheetah's a Wonder Woman villain.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
She's a doctor, but she's not really. She's strong.
She has inhumane mobility, doesn't she? She's like basically real.
She's very
fucking
smart.
Fast reflexes and agility.
She's got very good hand-to-hand combat. But this is Ra's al fucking Ghul. He invented some forms of combat thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
This is fully like you adopted the darkness. I was fucking born in it.
Yeah, it really is, and
here's the thing: she's definitely strong enough to like put up a fight, but it will be like Ra's playing with his food still. He will dismantle her at his own leisure.
Well, yeah, he's like a master of every fucking martial art. So it's just like her strength is her hand-to-hand combat, but like, yeah, but he knows every fucking hand-to-hand combat there is.
Let me go see if he has any weaknesses that I'm unaware of that might end up being handy. Abilities, literally in nothing. Phenomenal. Yeah, because normally, like in my granted relatively limited knowledge of Ra's al Ghul, as a general rule, when he does lose, it ends up kind of being because he's outthought rather than actively beaten up.
Yeah. I think it's
I think it's just an L for Cheetah regardless. And this is what happens in the early stages of the bracket every time. The number 1 seed does tend to just stomp their first matchup pretty easily.
The only thing I can think to like weaken Ra's al Ghul is the fact that like he has to use the Lazarus pit regularly, right? To keep himself
semi-regularly.
Well, the only thing I can think is like it's been a while. So he's like not maybe at his peak performance. But even
then, like the combat ability is enough to just get him through, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think there's much.
We're talking about someone who like regularly beats Batman in like a fight based on pure hand-to-hand combat skills versus someone who loses to Wonder Woman. And don't get me wrong, Wonder Woman is strong as fuck, but she's not that. I wouldn't say she's as proficient in hand-to-hand techniques as Batman is. She's just more powerful.
Yeah. And it's like,
so I think the breakdown of that just ends with Ra's literally dismantling her as he sees fit.
Well, yeah, because it's like what he's just gonna pick up on whatever hand-to-hand combat style she's using, know which martial art is the best counter to that, and just
she's gonna crack on.
Yeah.
I think Ra's just views her as a nuisance rather than anything else.
I agree. I think she'll throw some like good hits and stuff and be somewhat of a strong opponent, especially because of her agility. But I think his way, like the amount of martial arts he knows, he can just mix and match and do like that is just going to outsmart her. She can be quick as she wants, but he'll pick up on it. And
yeah, he's lived too long. He's too well versed, and he's too strong for her to have a easy course of attack.
Agreed.
So there we go. Ra's dismantles Cheetah as predicted. Next week we're going up with Lex Luthor versus Killer Croc.
Ooh.
Which will be an interesting one.
That will be.
It will. So make sure you tune in for that one, folks. But that is all from us this week. Thank you very much for hanging out with us again. It's always a good time.
Yes. Hope you enjoy us now talking about D&D.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep adding more stuff in until eventually we have that one episode where there's 19 million shows that have come out, and we're like, I saw 3 things.
That's
But,
it's gonna
but
happen.
until then, we keep rolling.
Yeah.
And make sure you like and subscribe. We are getting awfully close to 300 subscribers, and we greatly appreciate it. But we're not quite there yet. We will see you next week with another episode. Have a
Yes, we
lovely
will.
weekend.
See you next week.